Hey guys, this is the Alligator. I'm going to do a Gator's Alley podcast today. Beautiful day, Sunday morning, peaceful. I'm sitting on my porch overlooking 4th Avenue in Huntington, and this is ground central for the drug epidemic. This is where it's been happening. I've got first-hand view of it. I've got a real good friend who actually got started really. She was doing drugs in early 2008, but the opioid thing really got worse. She started with like Lorcettes and stuff like that, but then she started going to a pill mill up in Portsmouth. She had had a car wreck which brought on a situation, and then also she had some fights with her boyfriend at the time, thrown down the steps and stuff, so she did have a backache. But she started going to these pill mills, and it's kind of like fishing with dynamite when you start giving somebody Oxycontins. They took her up from what she was taking, started giving her Oxycontins. It was like $200. They really didn't give her any treatment, and they just wrote a prescription. Well, this went on for a few years, and then it got harder and harder whenever they started cracking down on this. And she'd have to go to like Beckley one week, get a prescription filled, and then the drugstore wouldn't do it the next week, and she ended up like Louisa, Kentucky, just going all around until finally it got harder and harder. Doctors were still writing the prescriptions, and but the pharmacies weren't honoring them. So finally, whenever that got shut down, she was already hooked, already dependent on it. So she started getting what she could from the streets, but that got shut off. So heroin started coming down from Detroit. She got hooked on heroin, and she went through that for a few years, and it's just been a battle all the way through. Recently, a couple of months ago, she entered a program in South Point, went through 28 days, and she did well. Came out, unfortunately, within 3 days, back on it. Relapsed, and now she's back in. She's done a little over 2 weeks now. She's still got a couple of weeks to go. It's just a tough process because she lives down here in the jungle, down here on 4th Avenue. There's people around here, the homeless around here. There's others just run around. It's a social environment that people don't understand. All these people use it together. They get together. They talk about it. The first thing they say is, "Hey, have you done any good dope? Got any food? Got any food?" And when they're talking, "You got any food?" it's slang for dog food, which is heroin. And then they start, even if they get on like Suboxone, then they start using meth to get high because they've been doing it for so long. And they really don't know what else to do. They just wander around, and that's just become a real problem. So she's going to have to get out of this area. She realizes that. She's looking at the possibility of going into sober living, which is good because you have the support of other people. Go into groups, and you got the support there, and that may help it, but it's just, you have a whole group of people down here what's all they do is just go around all day long, try to come up with money, they get in dumpsters around here. The Marshall students throw away some real good stuff. They get it, they take it to the drug dealers, they try to sell it to them, or they try to hustle it on the streets, and that's become their job. Some of them actually calls it work, and they push around buggies, and they get this stuff, and it's become their own. It's become their lifestyle. Some of them's done it for so long that they don't even realize what they're doing. And then they do go to they go to the mission, and they all go there and they eat together, and it's a social thing, and they don't think they have bad lives. And the thing you got to understand, a lot of the homeless people that come to Huntington, these are people that are missing from somewhere else. They hear about it, they come here. I've had a couple of families contact me about missing people. There's people even on the news. They come up here, but they really don't want to be found. You know, you can't really call them missing because they know where they're at, and they just don't want to go back. They like the environment, they like the lifestyle, they got plenty of social activities up here. They talk to people all day long, and their minds aren't working right because they're on drugs. So we've had a lot of arguments on my websites this week about do we feed the homeless, do we not? And I would tell you, Huntington is doing a good job of that. You have 3 meals a day given out by the city mission, you have churches that are helping, you have Hunger Food Bank that's giving out, facing Hunger Food Bank. Everybody's working hard to try to solve that problem. So, but I see a lot of people are taking a lot of things personal. I mean, people were upset because their property's getting broken into, and that does happen because they get desperate, they get sick when they can't come up with money. Then they start taking packages off the porch, or they break into cars, or even break into houses. And that is a problem, of course. And then you have, on the other side, you have people who are taking it kind of personal because they think, hey, you're saying that all homeless are addicts. No, they're not. But there's places like Harmony House that are helping the homeless, and it's they're working on that. They help getting places and things like that. But there is a certain amount of these people who do come to Huntington to do drugs, and when they can't find any resource to get drugs, they do start getting desperate, and they do property crime, and that is a problem. But some people look at it like, oh, you're calling homeless people, because they take it kind of personal. They look like me, man. I'm just a couple paychecks away from being homeless. I've got a good job and everything, but things go bad, and but there are places out there that will help you if I do get in that situation, where people are looking at it like, hey, you're calling people, you're taking it out on the homeless, and you say that they're all addicts and are taking it. No, but there is you have to understand, I live here, I see it, I'm right above Ground Central, and I see it every day. I come out here at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there's people running up and down the street, checking the curves and everything, the gutters out here for cigarette butts. You go to Speedway, I walk AJ up there in the morning, and they're already up there early in the morning. So there's people at the gas pumps hanging out trying to bum money, and I see both sides of the view, and the only way we're ever going to solve this is to get down and together and everybody listen. I mean, everybody wants to talk, but nobody wants to listen, and it's the only way we're going to try to make things better for everybody. But the problem just keeps getting worse. The answer is certainly not to starve people or to quit helping people, and the answer is not to, we don't want to make people suffer, and the answer is also not to enable people. So the answer falls somewhere in between. So that's something I like to see, some constructive talk, and not just yelling and accusing, and everybody needs to listen more and talk maybe just a little bit less. Tell your story, but talk just a little bit less and listen more, and maybe we can get some answers for this thing. But we've been dealing with this epidemic for a while, and it doesn't seem to be getting any closer. It went worse this year because of stimulus checks. People aren't like saying that, but the realistic is theirs. You put money in a drug people's hands, and I'm telling you firsthand experience. There's a lot of people out here who weren't even supposed to get stimulus checks, but they found a loophole that has something to do with working for yourself or something. And a lot of these people that haven't had jobs in 10, 15 years were out here collecting unemployment and checks. Hey, that's the system. And if you have a system, somebody's going to find a loophole in it. Don't hate me, I'm just a messenger. Well, hey, this is Gator's Alley. Chomp on.